And Trump is such a typical example of electing so-called successful business person who has got no basics of politics. Because in politics, you also learn diplomacy. You also learn sovereignty and how to relate with other nations. So he has not just verbalized his political illiteracy. He has practicalized it. How do you become acting president of Venezuela? In all respect, it will never happen.
Trump, every day we woke up during December, he's not bombing Nigeria, he's bombing Venezuela, he's kidnapping the president. What do you make of it?
He posted, I think, day before yesterday or so, that he's now the acting president of Venezuela, you know?
Yeah, that's what you get when you elect the politically illiterate people to lead society. A lot of people make stupid mistakes and say we need a business person to be a president of South Africa. Politics are more complex than that. And Trump is such a typical example of electing so-called successful business person who has got no basics of politics. Because in politics, you also learn diplomacy. You also learn sovereignty and how to relate with other nations. So he has not just verbalized his political illiteracy. He has practicalized it. How do you become acting president of Venezuela? In all respect, it will never happen. And he knows it. There will be a permanent instability in that country because those people are going to fight for their self-determination. They're not going to allow that. Everywhere they went to Afghanistan, they destabilized that country. They went to Libya, they destabilized that country.
Iraq.
They went to Iraq, they destabilized that country. Everywhere they say they are intervening, they go and destabilize the country. They are going to start a world war. But I don't think he has politically internalized and discussed it and take a deliberate decision to start a world war. He doesn't even know how a world war get to be started. I think he's unwittingly going to start a world war because he's going to tamper with interest of a lot of nations, and they're not going to sit back. They're going to respond. And the art of war teaches you that you can't open so many battlefronts.
Yes, yes.
You can't be fighting everyone and expect to win. And then become worse. Start fighting even your own inside.
Yes.
You will have instability inside, and you will have outside forces also turning against you. You can be this superpower, but those resources are limited. You're going to be fragmented and be fighting in all fronts. And the next thing, the resources get depleted and you get defeated. But that doesn't apply, he doesn't think about it.
More especially when you're looking at, like, it's just about 5 months before the World Cup, and America is co-hosting the World Cup with Mexico and Canada. Like now, most people will be scared to go to the World Cup. And also he himself has annihilated a lot of countries, a lot of people who are supposed to go there and support their... So it tells you that he politically is not mature.
Yes, but South Africa, Bafana must officially withdraw. SAFA must take a decision to withdraw from having anything to do with the World Cup that is taking place in America. When a country starts disrespecting international law, which declared that apartheid is a crime against humanity, and other people still wanted to trade with South Africa, a lot of countries refused to trade with South Africa because it was violating human rights, it was violating international law. So we must boycott the World Cup in America and boycott anything that has got to do with America, because We cannot sit back and allow a person to destabilize the world and it becomes business as usual. That is an act of cowardice.
But now with his Trump's friend, Elon Musk,
Yeah.
he's been trying using backdoor front windows to bring Starlight into South Africa.
Well, we shouldn't allow that. He's not fighting to bring the Starlink because he wants to he wants to give us access to network and all of that. They're coming to police us. They're coming to create regime change. The white people realize they cannot take it through a ballot, and they are now engaged in illegal, unconstitutional method to destabilize this country so that eventually they can take it over. We've got a lot of strategic minerals that are needed by America and everybody else, including Elon Musk, who is involved in business. And therefore, the government that is serving today, it is not serving in their best interest. They will never cooperate with that government. If anything, they are going to try and collapse that government. We are not opposed to network connectivity. We are the ones who fought for data not to expire, time not to expire. The more we broaden our network, the better, especially for the rural community, which is still voting for the ANC, is not exposed to a lot of information as to how corrupt these people are. But we cannot have a network that is going to be policing us, operated by Mossad to monitor our activities and to instigate insurrection inside our country. We shouldn't allow that, and we must never be blackmailed not to follow our laws. Our laws are not racist or are not discriminatory. Are simply saying, let's pull those ones who are left behind to come and be at the same level with us. The BEE is not going to be a permanent feature. We're just using it as an intervening method to address the historical imbalances. Once that is achieved, we can have a conversation about, do we really need this law? Because now our people are at a point where they can equally compete with their counterparts without being disadvantaged by the fact that they are not exposed or they do not have the necessary resources to compete, as it were, at that level. So I think it's something that all of us, we must put our political differences aside and say, Musk, as long as he's not compliant to the laws of South Africa, he must never be allowed to enter here, and no special law must be made for Elon Musk.
So we saw one minister try to smuggle a gazette that allows Starlink to come in here and all of that. And what does it say about his country? The president never said anything about it so far.
Well, it's a GNU. The president is trying to tread very carefully, but that was wrong. It was not properly processed, and you can see that this minister is driven by other interests other than the interest of South Africa, because as we are still pushing now, we are pushing empowerment of black people. And solely if was part of the agenda to empower black people, he would not have done what he did. It was extremely wrong, and he was actually confirming that he's working for certain interest and not for interest of South Africa.
Thank you very much, President.
Okay, thank you.
Any final message to the fighters? We know that we've launched a campaign, back to school, plans for the year, and final messages to them.
Well, every fighter knows that he has to adopt, to have a more strong support in Bryanston than in Alexander does not constitute a shift. Because the working class is not about to what extent are you educated. Your class is determined by your relationship to the means of production. So the people in Bryanston, in Midrand, and the people of Alex and Tembisa are the same when it comes to their relationship to the means of production. They are not owners of the means of production. What does that include? Amongst other things, it includes ownership of land. It includes ownership of banks. It includes ownership of mines. It includes monopoly industries and any other strategic sector of the economy. None of them. And the Princeton's ones understand our language much more better because they are driving beautiful cars, staying in beautiful houses, but deep down they know that they do not own those houses and cars. So our message speaks to them more than the one who stays at home, doesn't own a car, doesn't stay in an apartment. When you say that apartment you stay in, you don't own it. It says, which apartment is he talking about now? Because I don't stay in any apartment. So there is no class suicide that was committed. No, there are two kinds, there are two types of classes. It's the owners, the bourgeoisie class that owns the means of production, and the working class that doesn't own the means of production. Then you've got these ones who are in the middle. They are not a class, they are a strata. They are neither owning or not owning. Some are seeking to own. They're trying to own. They hold that ambition. I always cringe when Mashaba says he's a capitalist, and I'm like, I don't think he knows what being a capitalist means. There are very few capitalists in the whole world. I don't think there are more than 10. If they are, not more than 20. So he just calls a concept without understanding what it means. He's not a capitalist. The same thing as Sir Ramaphosa. You can call him a billionaire and say whatever he wants to say. What does he produce? What does he own? That makes this economy to shift. That if Ramaphosa is disrupted, the economy will collapse. Nothing. So we cannot, even here in South Africa, there are so many few of them. It's the Minel, it's the Oppenheimers, it's those Stellenbosch ones, very few of them who owns the means of production. The rest of us are selling our labor to these few who are owning the means of production. So the EFF is still right within its constituency. And it has made a shift from lies which were spread that is lying and misleading the uneducated. We now are proving it scientifically that would not exist only for the illiterate people. Hence, the universities, all of them, literally all of them, are EFF. And that's where the young intelligentsia is found.
Hello Africa, brothers and sisters, welcome back to your lovely channel, Make Africa Great. Hopefully you're okay and doing well. You heard from Julius Malema talking a lot about what is going on right now in the world after Trump captured Nicolas Maduro. Also, what's going on after Donald Trump put visa restrictions for some countries, the request of Elon Musk to establish Starlink internet in South Africa. But all in all, Malema has stood up and speak the truth without fear of anyone. My question is it the right time for Julius Malema to be a president of South Africa? South Africans, are they ready to elect Julius Malema as a president after Ramaphosa? This question remains in the hands and in the minds of South Africans, because Malema is the only black politician feared the most by white people. Even Trump, he feared Julius Malema, not powerful in terms of military or in terms of power, in terms of consciousness. That's why when Ramaphosa went to White House, one of the video trended is the video of Julius Malema that he played at the White House. So Malema is very conscious. Malema is a visionary leader, and always Malema advocates the united Africa. The thing that these exploiters are not happy with. Anyone who talk about unity of Africa become a threat. And that's why there was a secret mission to jail Julius Malema up to 15 years. This January, Malema will be at the court in Eastern London court, I think so, for judgment. And you will not wonder that he will be sentenced up to 15 years in jail, because they fear that if Malema will remain out, or he will become a president of South Africa. And if Malema will become a president of Africa, he will push an agenda of a united Africa. The thing that they don't want to hear. And if Malema, he will be a president, he would also join Traore. He would be in ally with Russia, with China. These countries are main competitor of United States of America. But let us wait the decisions of majority of South Africans. Are they ready to put Malema into the State House, or Malema will remain as opposition leader? But let us give that question to the people of South Africa. As you heard, Malema has spoken many things. As I mentioned, the issue of Starlink, the issue of Trump, World Cup, the issue of controlling the means of production. But let me focus on a few things. On the issue of Starlink, we know very well that this Western power, they use internet sometimes for misinformation, to change the minds of many Africans, how they capture our minds. That's how they use this social media and something like that, like internet. We have seen what happened in Venezuela, what happened in Iran. Protesters have been given free access of internet by Starlink. Maybe, as you heard Julius Malema, he feared that if maybe we become a president, or in the near future, the internet will be used to spread fake information, will be used to spread lies and creating narratives that will allow these powerful nations to attack South Africa. So that's what Malema fears. And that's why he's speaking the truth, that does not, Elon Musk has to comply with the law of South Africa. Which law? That's the question that we have to ask him. Of course, I support Malema for that issue, because I have seen, as I speak to you now, right now, Uganda has shut down the internet connectivity. Why? Because sometimes these political parties that we have in the country, some of them, not all, some of them are being sponsored. These are like mercenaries, are being sponsored to create chaoses in the countries, especially in Africa. Then after creating chaoses and the people demonstrating, sometimes these people are given even weapons to shoot people, other people, so that the world can say, oh, there's something going on there. People are being killed, people are being like that and that. So the international communities said, oh, create a meeting that we have to go there to serve or to protect the civilian. And that's where these powerful nations got opportunity. Well, remember what happened to Libya when they attacked Gaddafi. They started like that. They said there's killings of civilians. Gaddafi is a dictator, killing civilians. So the Western power came in to protect civilians. But till today, more than 10 years, Libya never recovered. Libya never recovered. They have done like that in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Libya. So now they're looking for South Africa. And we know why they want to destabilize South Africa. Through ballot, it is difficult, of course. That's why you see Malema has spoken like that. It is difficult for them to win through the ballot. There are so few. Majority are black people. So, and these black people, they share votes, ANC, MK Party, and EFF, and the others. That's why one day I said there's a need for EFF, MK Party, and ANC to sit down to strategize what we want as South Africans. Because even if Malema will be a president, even if maybe Zuma, you want to be a president, you, Ramaphosa, you want to be a president, but what is the goal of you to be a president? If to serve the people. And majority of black people are those who are suffering. They don't have the land. So they have to sit down and to unite and to say, let's move in this way. Because if they don't do so, the land that is still in the hands of white minorities will remain in the white minority. So Malema fear Starlink to destabilize South Africa by sometimes misinformation or portraying or creating narratives that are not okay. But all in all, why they want to destabilize South Africa? It's because South Africa has minerals. And if we talk about minerals, we are talking about the land. Minerals are in the land, in the ground. And that land is in the hands of white minority. So when South African government said, we want to share the land, we want those who have large piece of the land to share with those who don't have, that's where things or trouble came in. White people in South Africa are not ready to share the land with black people. They're still believing that that land is owned by them. That land came from their ancestors. But we know very well that these settlers and former colonizers came from Europe. Then arrived in South Africa, they found Africans there, indigenous people living there. Because they are so powerful, they beat them, they chase them out and take that land because that land was potential for agriculture. That land is so rich in terms of mineral. So that's what happened. So when after several generations, these people, current generation, are saying, we have lived out of our home of our ancestors for 400 years. Now we want to go back to the land of our ancestors. But we are not chasing you out. What we want is all of us to live together and to share the land. But that things white people are not ready. Now they're trying to create chaoses. They're trying to force the government to have their own country, the Western Cape exit. They want to have their own independence. All in all is to make sure that those resources, especially critical minerals, remain in the hands of white people. They don't want to see the land with minerals going to black people. They have succeeded to control the resources in Democratic Republic of Congo. They have destroyed totally Congo. No African can go to Congo and extract minerals because there's no peace. So in South Africa, there's peace. But if they will allow black people to own the land, it means they will share minerals. They think that they are not ready. That's why you see they're using different tactics. They're using stories of white genocide in South Africa. They went to Trump saying that white people are being killed. They're trying to find every way to see that how they can destabilize South Africa. So Malema has seen this before, and Malema is ahead maybe of these normal politicians. That's why he's talking like that about the issue of Elon Musk internet. But all in all, Elon Musk has to comply with the law. Apart from that, Malema has spoken the issue of World Cup. We know that Trump has restricted some countries, visas for some countries. So it doesn't matter whether your country has maybe is participating in the World Cup, but some visas are being restricted to some countries in to enter into the United States of America. So you can see. So due to that, it means those fans of football and soccer will be restricted to enter into America. So that's why you have heard Malema arguing maybe South African Football Federation to withdraw from the World Cup or not participate in the World Cup in the United States of America. You know, and one thing that has happened, America has not invited South Africa for the G20 summit in Miami. So the question remains there, will America allow South African national team to participate in World Cup if the president cannot be invited to America? Can national team of South Africa be allowed, or some leaders or football federation leaders, also some of them will be restricted to enter into America? So that's why you have heard Malema talking about withdrawal of South African from World Cup participation in United States of America. Another issue Malema has spoken is the issue of resources, especially not just resources, just controlling the means of production. As we know, we have a lot of billionaires in Africa, and these politicians are calling themselves billionaires, but what are they contributing to our economy? They have money that are kept into banks, but those money are not in circulation. Those are politicians that we have in Africa. And some of them are taking and looting money from Africa, hiding money in Europe, in some islands. So Malema has spoken the issue of economy, that there's a need for we Africans to own the means of production. To own the means of production, it means from extraction, transportation, processing, and manufacturing are within or are owned by Africans. Today, look, for instance, in mining, it's Africans maybe who are digging or going underground, then extracting minerals. Some are purifying those resources, some maybe had the value to some extent, but after that process, after those processes, what next? What are we doing with our gold? What are we doing with our lithium? What are we doing with our cobalt, cotton, uranium? So we don't control. So resources we have, but we are not controlling the means of production. We don't manufacture cars, we don't manufacture mobile, smartphones, and other stuffs like that. So we are exporting, just exporting. Yes, some we are processing, but what after processing? We sell those products. So those who are buying, what are they doing with those resources? That's a question we need to ask ourselves. Okay, we are selling gold to China. What China is doing with that gold? We are selling uranium to Russia. What Russia is doing with that uranium? Yes, lithium is going out. What lithium is going to, which work uranium is working for? I think if we can start asking those kind of questions, we can realize that there's a need for we Africans, especially those who are in leadership, to see how we Africans we can start owning the means of production. So that is very important for we Africans, especially young generation, to see how we can benefit from our resources. You know, when we say beneficiaries from our natural resources, doesn't mean maybe to have those. We have, but what final product are we getting from those resources? Those are questions that we need to ask ourselves. So, family, if you have something to share with us, please do so through the comment section. I'm glad for you to watch this video, to comment, and also to share this video. You are a great person who have taken this channel to where it is. So have much appreciation to you and much respect to you, because you are the one who are keeping me in this position to speak or to talk about our mother continent, Africa. So let us not speak for too long. Let me say thank you for watching. Have a nice time. See you next time in other videos. Thank you.
Thank you, Africa, Mama Africa. Oh, yeah. You make Africa great. Thank you, Africa. Thank you, Africa.